Okay, na? I asked you to push this. Recording started. So, good morning, everyone. We are discussing important VSAQs for the IPE exam. So, till yesterday, we have completed all the important VSAQs till neural control and coordination. So, in neural control and coordination, we have discussed some of the important questions like what is all or none principle and what is arborvitae. So, even from that chapter only, you can study one more important question like what is organ of Carty. So what is organ of Carty? So this is also one of the important VSAQ which you can learn. So what is meant by organ of Carty? So organ of Carty is meant for hearing. It is the organ which is meant for hearing. And this organ of Carty, it is actually formed by the combination of what? It is actually formed by the combination of basilar membrane. Okay, so basilar membrane, that which is present, and even stereocilia plus tectorial membrane. Basilar membrane, stereocilia, and tectorial membrane. So together it forms the organ of hearing, which is only called as organ of Carty. So organ of Carty, it is a hearing organ. So where it's a combination of what? It is the combination of basilar membrane, stereocilia, and then tectorial membrane, where here particularly stereocilia, they act as auditory receptors. So the stereocilia will act as auditory receptors. So that which help in receiving the sound waves and convert them in the form of electrical currents or nerve impulses, where all that will be collected and taken by auditory nerve to the brain. So like this, particularly 2 points, if you remember, that is more than enough. Organ of Carty is a combination of basilar membrane, stereocilia, and tectorial membrane, where the stereocilia, that is the hair cells, acting as auditory receptors. So that is about organ of Carty. So the next, coming to other important questions from endocrine system and chemical coordination. So the next chapter important VSAQs from endocrine system and chemical coordination are distinguish between diabetes mellitus, distinguish between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. So this is important VSAQ from endocrine system and chemical coordination chapter. So let us see what is the difference between diabetes mellitus and then diabetes insipidus. So diabetes mellitus is mainly because of diabetes mellitus. It is mainly because of insufficient production of insulin. So insulin is a hormone, a pancreatic hormone. Insulin is secreted from what? It is secreted from beta cells of pancreas. So this insulin mainly it helps in controlling the blood glucose levels, blood sugar levels. So soon after eating, what happens? Our blood sugar levels will increase. So whenever the blood sugar levels increase, that is a signal for the beta cells of pancreas to secrete this insulin hormone. So that what happens now, this insulin hormone will make the glucose to enter into the cells. So thereby helps in producing the energy. So like this, in whichever people, if there is insufficient production of insulin, or even if insulin is produced also, but if they are showing resistance to insulin, either insufficient production of insulin or showing resistance to insulin. So both these are the factors that which are responsible for increase in blood sugar levels. So thereby what will happen? The blood sugar levels are elevated whenever there is insufficient production of insulin or resistance to insulin. So thereby creating a condition called as what? diabetes mellitus. So that is only called as diabetes mellitus. And the next coming to diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus. So what is the, no, this diabetes insipidus? Both are diabetes only. But actually, so much difference is there. So just now we have learned that diabetes mellitus is because of insufficient production of insulin. Then what about this diabetes insipidus? So it is because of insufficient production or deficiency of hypothalamic hormone. Actually, hypothalamus secretes the hormone called as vasopressin, or it can also be called as antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone. So vasopressin can also be called as antidiuretic hormone. So that means ADH. It can be called as ADH. So diabetes insipidus, it is because of insufficient production of vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone. So generally, what is the function of this hormone? So as I told you, hypothalamus, it secretes vasopressin, where this hormone will go and get stored in pituitary gland. So now, whenever needed, the pituitary gland will release this hormone. Now this vasopressin will go and act on the kidney tubules, that means renal tubules of the kidney, so thereby causing water reabsorption. So generally the function of this is water reabsorption. So water reabsorption, thereby preventing diuresis. But now what happens? As there is insufficient production of this vasopressin, so what happens to the water reabsorption? There will not be any water reabsorption now. And whenever water reabsorption is not there, what will happen? Most of the water will get lost in the form of urine only. So that is only called as what? Diuresis. So that is where most of the water is getting lost in the form of urine. So that is only called as what? Diuresis. And that condition is only called as diabetes insipidus. Okay. So you know that generally on an average 1.5 liter of urine is excreted by a healthy adult person. But in people having this diabetes insipidus condition, what happens? They excrete almost nearly some 12 to 15 liters of urine per day. So which is only called as diuresis and accompanied with polyuria. So this is the difference between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. So you should remember that diabetes mellitus is because of insufficient production of insulin, and whereas diabetes insipidus is because of insufficient production of vasopressin or ADH hormone. So that is antidiuretic hormone. So because of deficiency of insulin, blood sugar levels are elevated, leading to a condition called as diabetes mellitus. And whereas in this case, because of the insufficient production of vasopressin, so there is no water reabsorption from the renal tubules of the kidney, so that most of the water will get lost in the form of urine only, which is only called as diuresis, leading to a condition called as diabetes insipidus. So like this, what is organ of Carty? And then distinguish between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. Where is the duster? Duster is there. Keep this aside. Okay, the next. Let us see other important VSIQs of endocrine system. So other important questions are, that is from this endocrine system chapter, are yes, what is insulin shock? So this is also important VSIQ. The next question is, what is insulin shock? So just now we have learned what is insulin. Insulin is a pancreatic hormone that which regulates blood sugar levels. Then what is this insulin shock? So sometimes what happens? So generally diabetic people, they start to taking insulin. Okay, so generally in the form of intravenous or no, sometimes orally, like in the form of tablets. So what happens now, whenever insulin levels exceed more than the normal value, whenever insulin levels exceed more than normal value, then what happens? So generally the function of the insulin is to divert the blood glucose into the levels. So which is only called as what? Hypoglycemia. Actually, insulin is a hypoglycemic hormone, we will call it as. So insulin is what kind of hormone? Insulin is a hypoglycemic hormone. So now what happens? Whenever the insulin levels are present more in the blood than the required amount. So as diabetic people are taking intravenous insulin, sometimes the insulin levels may exceed than the normal value. So that what happens? That results in increased hypoglycemic condition. So that results in elevated hypoglycemic condition. So that is increased hypoglycemic condition. So what is the meaning? Already hypoglycemic. Glycemic means glucose. Hypo means low. So generally insulin is decreasing the blood sugar levels. But during this condition, as insulin is present in more amount than required, so the amount of glucose still present in the blood, it will be completely lower down. So that what happens? So generally brain and heart, these are the important organs which need continuous supply of energy. So continuous supply of glucose to produce energy as they are working constantly. So but now what happens? Because of decreased blood sugar levels, so sometimes the glucose will not reach the brain. It can't pass the blood-brain barrier. So that what happens? The brain will not receive sufficient amount of glucose, thereby no energy. So it may suddenly lead to what? Coma condition. Or sometimes you can see that diabetic people suddenly they are getting fainting also, like fainted down, right? So why? Because of fluctuations in the blood sugar levels, depending upon the dosage of the insulin. So that is only called as what? So that condition is only called as insulin shock, that which sometimes, so they may get fainted, or sometimes even it may lead to what? Brain coma. Sometimes even it lead to what? Brain coma. So which is only called as what? Insulin shock. So what is insulin shock? So generally in diabetic people where they are taking insulin in the form of intravenous injections, if the levels exceed more than the normal value, then it results in increased hypoglycemic condition or decreased or very decreased blood sugar levels, leading to fainting of the concerned diabetic person, or it may lead to brain coma also, which is only called as what? Insulin shock. So that is only called as insulin shock. So this is one of the important VSAQ. The next, apart from that, other important VSAQs are what is acromegaly and name the hormone responsible for this condition. Okay, next question is, what is meant by acromegaly? Next question, what is acromegaly? Name the hormone. Name the hormone responsible for this disorder. Name the hormone responsible for this disorder. So, what is meant by acromegaly? So, acromegaly, it is because of hypersecretion of the growth hormone. Acromegaly is because of hypersecretion of growth hormone. Okay. So generally before puberty or sometimes in the adult condition, So it is because of the hypersecretion of growth hormone, which can also be called as somatotropin. So which can also be called as what? Somatotropin, that which is generally seen either before puberty or in adult condition, that which is characterized by what now? So generally growth hormone, if it is produced in more amounts than required. So you know that in childhood condition, if the growth hormone is produced more than required, then it will lead to gigantism. It will lead to gigantism. If the growth hormone is produced in low amount than required, then it will lead to dwarfism. In the same way, if the growth hormone or somatotropin is produced in high amounts, hyper means what? More. So high amounts than required when before puberty or in adult condition. So then that lead to a condition called as what? So that is only called as acromegaly, which is characterized by, so which is characterized by enlargement of hands, enlargement of bones, particularly in hands, feet, face, and almost the people, they will be having gorilla-like appearance. So gorilla-like appearance. So that's why this condition is called as what? Acromegaly. So that means we can see very enlarged hands, enlarged feet. Okay. And even the face is also like enlarged face we can see. So almost the concerned persons will be having like gorilla-like kind of appearance. So that's why this is called as what? Acromegaly. Okay. So what is acromegaly? And name the hormone responsible for this disorder. So what is the hormone responsible for this disorder? So that is hypersecretion of which hormone? Growth hormone. So hypersecretion of growth hormone or somatotropin in adult condition or before puberty, it will lead to gigantism. It will lead to gigantism, and it is characterized by what? Enlargement of bones in hands, feet, and face. And the concerned people will be having gorilla kind of appearance called as acromegaly. So like this, mainly 2 points you should write, where you will be getting 1 mark for each point. So the 2 marks. Understood? So what is insulin shock and what is acromegaly? And name the hormone responsible for this. And one more VSAQ which I told in this chapter is distinguish between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. And apart from this, other important questions are, already we have discussed this question as a part of question paper questions when we have discussed. I told you, just let me revise one more time. What is erythropoietin and what is its function? So define erythropoietin and the function of erythropoietin. So next question, define erythropoietin and mention its function. So erythropoietin is a hormone. Erythropoietin, it is a hormone that which is secreted by the kidney. So kidney also secretes an important hormone called as what? Erythropoietin. Already yesterday we have studied that. So the juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney, it secrete an important enzyme called as renin. RENIN. In the same way, kidney even it secretes a hormone called as what? Erythropoietin. And this erythropoietin, it is responsible for the proliferation and differentiation of erythroid progenitor cells. It is responsible for the proliferation and differentiation of erythroid progenitor cells, that which become responsible for the production of red blood cells. So erythroid progenitor cells are precursors. Precursors means what? Like parental cells we can think, like raw materials we say, no? So like the parental cells, from which cells they will get derived. So they are only called as what? They are only called as precursors. So this erythropoietin hormone, it is responsible for the proliferation and differentiation of erythroid progenitor cells. And as I told you, this erythropoietin hormone, it is secreted from which cells of kidney? JG cells of kidney. What is meant by JG cells? Juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney. Juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney. So 2 points you should write. Erythropoietin is a hormone which is secreted from juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney, and the function of this hormone is it is responsible for the proliferation and differentiation of erythroid progenitor cells, from where RBC can be produced. Okay, so that is erythropoietin, and these are the important VSAQs in endocrine system and chemical coordination chapter. Then next, coming to human reproduction, let us see some of the important questions from human reproduction chapter also. So from human reproduction, you are having some of the important questions like, and before human reproduction, we are having immune system chapter, right? So let us see some of the important questions from immune system chapter. In that, very, very important question is colostrum. So colostrum is very much essential for the newborn infants justify. So important VSAQ from immune system chapter. So colostrum is very much essential for the newborn infants, justify. So first of all, you should write what is meant by colostrum. So what is colostrum? Colostrum is the first formed milk in the mother soon after the delivery. So colostrum is the first formed milk in the mother soon after the delivery, and definitely the baby should be fed with this colostrum, as it contain important, like mainly it contain antibodies that which are responsible for giving immunity to the baby. So which kind of antibodies are present? IgA antibodies are present. So already you would be knowing that antibodies are of different types, like IgA, IgG, IgD, IgM, IgE, like the different types of antibodies are there. So in that, colostrum mainly contains what? It contains antibodies, and apart from that, whatever the important nutrients are required for the growth of the baby, like important sugars, vitamins, minerals, okay, all these kind of nutrients are present in the colostrum. So that's why definitely the newborn baby should be fed with colostrum. And not only that, because of this antibodies that which are present, so it is responsible for providing immunity to the baby, against gastrointestinal tract infections. Because the newborn babies, they are very susceptible to infections, and even the digestive capacity is also very less. So that's why always the newborn babies up to few months, they will be fed only with the milk. Okay, not any other food, as they can't digest. Okay, so that's why even the gastrointestinal tract will be very susceptible, very sensitive for the infections. So that is the reason why the baby need to be fed with the mother's milk, particularly colostrum, for the first few days. Okay, so because it contains IgA antibodies that which helps in providing immunity, particularly against, like protecting from gastrointestinal tract infections. So this is only called as colostrum. So Colostrum is very much essential for the newborn infants. Justify. So you are supposed to write all these points. First of all, you should write what is colostrum and what does it contain and how does it help the newborn baby. So colostrum is newly formed milk or the first formed milk in the mother soon after the delivery, and the newborn baby should be fed with colostrum as they are rich in nutrients like sugars and vitamins, minerals, and apart from that they contain IgA antibodies that which help in providing immunity to the baby against particularly gastrointestinal tract infections. Clear? So that is one of the important question from immune system. And apart from that, other important question from this chapter is distinguish between or define the terms immunity and immune system. So other important question is define the terms immunity and immune system. So what is meant by immunity? The overall ability of the individual to fight against the infections which are caused by pathogens is only called as immunity. So next important question, define immunity and immune system. So what is meant by immunity? Immunity is the overall ability of an individual to fight with the infections, which are caused by the foreign agents. So that means pathogens which are caused by the foreign agents is only called as immunity. Okay, the overall ability of the immune system of an individual to fight with the infections that which are caused by disease causing microbes, that is pathogens, is only called as immunity. Then what is meant by immune system? What is immune system? What does it comprise of? Just like how we have other organ systems in the body, like digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, reproductive system. In the same way, even immune system is also one of the important organ system that which helps in providing immunity to the body. So the main function of immune system is the defense, that is protecting our human body from the disease causing microbes. So immune system. So how you can define immune system as? So now immune system, it is a collection of cells, tissues and organs. Okay, so it's a group of cells, tissues and organs. And again in organs also we are having primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs. So that is primary immune organs and secondary immune organs. So the cells, tissues and organs which are responsible for providing immunity, is only called as immune system. So cells, tissues and organs collectively that which are responsible for providing immunity to the body of a person. So that is only called as what? Immune system. So like this is also important question. Define the terms immunity and immune system. The next coming to important questions from human reproduction chapter. Let us discuss some of the questions from the human reproduction chapter. In that, one of the important question is, what are the functions of Sertoli cells of the seminiferous tubules and Leydig cells in man? So what are the functions of What are the functions of Sertoli cells and Leydig cells? Okay, functions of Sertoli cells and Leydig cells in man. So Sertoli cells, they are cells of seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. So this is also very simple question. Just if you write the function, you will get the mark. For Sertoli cell function 1 mark and Leydig cell function 1 mark. So Sertoli cells are pyramid shaped cells that which are present in the seminiferous tubules of testes. So they are present in the seminiferous tubules of testes of the male reproductive system. And generally Sertoli cells are called as nurse cells of testes. Okay, Sertoli cells are called as what? Nurse cells of testes. So why they are called as nurse cells of testes? Because mainly they help in providing nourishment to the sperms. That means providing nutrients to the sperms for their growth and development. So that is the reason why Sertoli cells are called as what? Nurse cells of the testes. So Sertoli cells mainly help in what? Providing nourishment to the sperms. The next coming to Leydig cells. So these Leydig cells are present out of the seminiferous tubules. That means in the interstitial spaces that which are present between the seminiferous tubules. So the Leydig cells are responsible for the secretion of a hormone, for the secretion of male sex hormone called testosterone. So the main function of Leydig cells is to secrete the male sex hormone called as what? Testosterone. And testosterone is, what are the functions of the testosterone? Controlling secondary sexual characters in male, and even it is responsible for stimulating the process of spermatogenesis, that is sperm production. Sperm production in males and secondary sexual characters in males are because of this testosterone hormone, and such kind of testosterone hormone is secreted by which cells? Leydig cells, which are present in the interstitial spaces of seminiferous tubules. So like this, you need to write the function for both the Sertoli cells and Leydig cells. So Sertoli cells function is nourishment to the sperms, and whereas the Leydig cells function is responsible for the secretion of a male sex hormone, that is testosterone. So this is one of the important question of human reproduction chapter. The next coming to another important question, already we have discussed this question. So that is distinguish between spermiation, okay, distinguish between spermiogenesis and then spermiation. Distinguish between spermiogenesis and spermiation. So this question already we have discussed when I have told you the, so define or distinguish between spermiogenesis and spermiation. So what is meant by spermiogenesis? Spermiogenesis is the process of transformation of spermatids into sperms. So it is the process of the production of the sperms, or the process of transformation of spermatids into sperms is only called as what? Spermiogenesis. The process of transformation of spermatids into sperms is only called as spermiogenesis. And what is meant by spermiation? The process of release of the sperms, okay, from the heads of the Sertoli cells into the seminiferous tubules is only called as spermiation. So this question I have explained you when I have discussed related to this question paper questions, like recently in the board exam, whatever question paper questions have been given. So when I have told you that, I gave these definitions. So spermiogenesis is the process of transformation of spermatids into sperms. And what is meant by spermiation? The process of release of the sperms from the heads of these Sertoli cells into the seminiferous tubules. So that is only called as spermiation. So these two are important questions from a reproduction chapter, that is function of Sertoli cells of the seminiferous tubules and Leydig cells in man. And one more is define spermiation and spermiogenesis. And sometimes even they will give the 4 extra embryonic membranes. Already in first year also you have got this question. So what are the 4 extra embryonic membranes? Amnion, chorion, allantoin and yolk sac. So the 4 extra embryonic membranes that which surrounds the embryo are, so name 4 extra embryonic membranes. So the 4 extra embryonic membranes are what? You need to write the 4 names. Amnion, chorion, allantoin and yolk sac. So these are the names of 4 extra embryonic membranes. Okay. So in today's session, including that neural control and coordination chapter question, totally 10 questions we have discussed. And previously I have given some 20 questions to you. So totally 30 questions. And in tomorrow's session, let us complete all the important VSAQs that which are there next in genetics chapter, evolution chapter and applied biology. So from these 3 chapters, whatever important VSAQs are there, I will teach you in the next session. So in today's session, whatever the important questions we have discussed, so just once go through them, revise them, learn them properly. And if you have any doubts now, you can ask. Yes, if any doubts, raise your hand so that we will unmute. So, any doubts, children? How many join? Any doubts, those who have joined? Who is this Shema Siddhika? Not there, no? Okay, so Nazia Fatima and Safu. If you have any doubts, you can ask. No, question paper is not enough for passing marks, because don't think that same questions will be given again for supplementary exam. You can expect hardly, for example, if you take VSAQ, they may give 1 or 2, not more than that. Okay, 2 will be given. And no, if time is good, 3, but not more than that. In SAQ also, hardly 2 questions you may get, and LAQ 1. Until and unless you write perfectly all these questions, you can't pass. So that's why don't depend only on the question paper. Already list of important questions we are teaching, no? Particularly LAQs, if you learn properly also, definitely you can pass, along with some short answer questions and very short answer questions. So try to learn 4 important LAQs: male reproductive system, female reproductive system, then working of heart and structure of heart. So don't depend only on the question paper. And if you read only question paper questions, definitely, I can't assure you that you will get pass marks. So extra some questions also you need to study. Okay. Any other doubts? Okay, that's all. Fine, children. So try to learn some extra questions also. Don't learn only the question paper questions. And whatever which we are teaching in this online sessions, all those questions try to cover. Okay. So still you have time. No need to worry. Every day one LA